Hey guys. Hi. It's Rachel again. Um, this is episode 2. So we're going to be talking today. I'm going to give a little bit more information about my um, from my first episode. I know there was a lot of things I was missing. And then I had some doctor visits that, as part of my health journey, I don't have to share, but I choose to share. Okay. So before we get into any of that, I want to lay down a couple of rules. So, um, first and foremost, I am not a doctor. So anything that I talk about medical wise is just for me. What I'm going through with my current journey. So, if you are experiencing any issues with your health or something doesn't seem right, please, please, please go see your doctor um, to get proper help because I don't want somebody following what I'm doing and then getting themselves really hurt. I would not forgive myself for that. Okay, that's just bad, 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 bad. Um, and second most thing, I will not talk about religion or politics. The reason, because my thinking is everybody is entitled to who, what religion they want to follow, and same goes for politics. Every person is different. Every person's going to have their own opinion. Like the saying goes, opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one. So, um, I'm trying to keep this page positive instead of a big, big, upsetting people getting mad or things like that. And then the third most thing, I like getting questions. Questions are awesome. So if after this video you don't see something that you want to see, but you want a little bit more info, or you want something maybe like a suggestion or an idea that I could cover on the next episode, please let me know. I'm all ears. As long as it's positive. If it's negative, I ain't going to answer. Okay? I've got enough I deal with in my life. So, uh, no negativity. We'll get along great. So, as you can see, I'm not in my car today. It is too cold outside. The wind is blowing. It's snowing. It's Christmas time. And it's December. And I'm out in Buffalo. So, yeah, I'm staying indoors today where it's nice and toasty warm. Um, in my humble abode, you know, um, working progress, but we'll get there. So I remember in my first episode, I was mentioning about having a lot of energy, and now that I have a lack of it. As a kid, I constantly had a lot of energy. I had to. I my mom was a single parent for the longest time. So I had to help her. I didn't have to help her, but when I helped her, that my hopes was to, help her be less stressed because she was working a lot of jobs and just not barely making ends meet. Single mom raising 2 kids, that's rough. That's rough for anybody. It's even rough for raising one child, let alone two or more than that. Um, anyway, so I had to be responsible for getting myself up in the mornings, making sure I ate breakfast, got ready for school, made sure that I got my brother up so he can get ready for school and eat breakfast and um, get off to school, because before I could drive, we either had to walk to school or we had to take the bus. When I lived in Lima and I went to elementary school, there was always either somebody that can take us if it was like really cold outside, or we walked. but we walked with a group of kids, so we were never really alone, which made it nice. And, also on top of that, coming home from school, doing homework, doing chores, they had to be done before going to bed at night. And I used to hate that, you know. But now that I'm older, it's like, you know what? I'm glad that I learned how to do those things because I can do them. And yes, with everything that I'm going through health wise, I still help out with chores as much as I possibly can. It gives me something to do, gives me something to look forward to, and it makes me feel accomplished when it's all done. And like, I did that. So, and so that's the reason why. And then over the years, I became a mom. I still had to have the energy because for the first 7 years of my oldest daughter's life, I worked. I was the only one working um, for a while their dad wasn't working, but he was also going to college too. So he also babysat the girls, so that saved us on a babysitter, and he cooked meals at home, so that had saved from us from getting takeout and stuff like that. So it made it nice for a while. Um, but then the older I got, the older the kids got, the less energy I was starting to have. And, that's when a lot of my health problems were starting to brew and cause a lot of problems. And it just made it more difficult for me to do the things that I used to do. And I still try to do them, but I was literally dragging ass at the same time. And that's not like me to do that. And with jobs, I did everything I could do, doing my work and stuff. And there were days where I just did not feel good. I was too tired, I was too weak, and, having to call off. And yeah, it was no fun. But I digress. Okay, that was in the past. This is now. So I had doctor visits recently, this whole month of December, and it's still not done yet. I still have two more, yeah, no, three more appointments before the end of the year. Go me. Anyway, um, December 5th, I had an endoscopy. Or let's start with December 1st, okay? December 1st, I had an appointment with my endoscopy team, and going over, the medications for my thyroid. Um, Everything's fine right now. Medications stay the same, so no change, and I don't have to go back until next May. Woohoo! Okay, next one. I had an endoscopy in December 5th of this year, which was a Friday. That was a journey in itself. So here's what happened. So my youngest daughter, she has her permit right now. She drives. She's actually taking the road test next month to get her license. Um, I'm really glad that she's doing that, and she's getting better. Yeah, better. Um, so she took me because her dad couldn't take me, and her sister had to work. So he took her to work, and went with me to the hospital in Rochester for me to have an endoscopy. When I said that was an adventure in itself, it's not towards my daughter, it's just the whole entire day in general. So what happened was I got there, I checked in, they got me back in the you know, the prep area, before they had me go back. And they had to give me platelets because my platelets were low. Now, little known fact about platelets. Platelets are very important in your body. They help your body clot when you have a cut and you're bleeding. Okay, so that they're a very important thing. And there's other things I think that they do too, but that's one of the major ones. So, normal or average platelet count for an average human being is between 150,000 and 450,000. Okay. This number that I'm going to give you is a shocker, and surprisingly, I have been dealing with this number for years. I want to say for the last 5, 6 years. My platelet count was at 30,000. Yeah, low. How low can I go? I went really low. So they had to give me platelets. So I had to have blood work drawn up so they can make sure that they can order the platelets, make sure it's all ready to go before I arrive. So when I get there, they can go ahead and give them to me before the procedure. The platelets that they gave me. Now, my blood type is A negative, so I have an Rh negative factor, which for some women that have an Rh negative factor, you know what that means. So when a woman is pregnant with a child, um, and the mother is got a negative Rh factor in her blood, um, if the baby, like the sperm that meets the egg, or the father, basically, if they have like a different Rh factor. So, say for example, if you are, you know, A negative and your partner, spouse, whoever is like O positive, there is a chance that that blood from the mother and the baby, if it leaks, can mix, and it could actually hurt the baby, actually kill the baby. Um, so a lot of women, when they're pregnant, they have to get something called a Rogam shot. And the Rogam shot, it is administered via, I think they give it to you in the muscle. It's no fun. I got it, and um, my husband and I are the same blood type. My kids are the same blood type. We're all A negative here. Don't ask me how that happened. It just did. Um, so anyway, when they gave me my platelets, the two nurses noticed that the Rh factor on the blood, it was A, which is my blood type, but it wasn't A negative. It was A positive. So they had to contact somebody and make sure that it was okay to give to me. And they double checked it before they did it, and they did, and they were told that it was fine. We'll get to that here in a minute. So I go back there, I finally go back into the surgical suite, and they're getting ready to do the procedure. And I start crying because I was getting really nervous. Now, I've had more than one endoscopy, so I mean, it's nothing new, but it was the first time I ever had it done at that hospital, and I didn't know what to expect. The staff was amazing. The nurses were wonderful. The doctor, she was phenomenal. I just wish she was my GI doctor, you know. Um, she did a very, very good job, so I'm very impressed. They were actually able to find some things in that the doctors that I've had previously in Buffalo never found. So I have what they call, so basically in the endoscopy, they want to make sure that there's nothing bleeding in the lining of the esophagus, the stomach, all that. And and if there's any polyps, they take care of them. If there's like any bleeding vessels that are out there, then they use what's called bands and they put them in there. Now, the problem with bands is that they can break and can cause, you know, bleeding in the throat, which can end your life. I got lucky, I don't need those right now. So luck has been on my side. However, I do have a mild case of PHG, and I have what they call GAVE. So basically, in a nutshell, when they looked at my stomach, the way that they described my stomach is it looks like a watermelon. That's what they call the term watermelon stomach. So there's stretches, there is a little bit of blood, um, like it's bleeding but slowly in the intestinal tract. So, well, not in the intestinal tract, but in the stomach area. So, there's two things that they can do. For the PHG, it is they give they can give like a beta blocker, which I'm already taking a beta blocker. So, um, and then for the GAVE, I believe they can do a surgery to help minimize the bleeding. But I think because mine is mild, that is not needed as of this time. But it might be needed in the future. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And then they were supposed to do a biopsy to see if I possibly, because with everything I'm going through, including the liver stuff, this is part of the liver stuff, um, I could possibly have um, celiac disease. And I thought that I had it because they were supposed to take like a little small sample of biopsy to have it tested. Um, my doctor that I just saw on Wednesday told me something, so we'll go over that here in a second. But after that, I started doing what's called a gluten-free diet. So basically, a lot of things have gluten: flour, pasta, sauces. Yes, sauces. They can use flour for, they use it as a thickener. So not everybody uses cornstarch. Um, so I have to be really careful. Um, so I've been doing that for about over a week and a half. I've had withdrawals. I've had a severe headache. It actually just started going away as of yesterday. So that's a plus. Mood swings. Oh, yeah. Mood swings. I was not having it. It was bad. So the drive home, because I drove up there, the drive home, well, we'll get to that here in a minute. My blood pressure after the procedure um, was really, really low and it wasn't going up, so they were keeping an extra eye on me. But apparently, I was coming out of anesthesia and I looked at the nurse and I was crying. And she goes, "Honey, what's the matter? What's wrong? Are you in pain?" And I just looked at her, and I don't know why I said this. I looked at her, I'm like, "I'm not wearing any underwear," you know, because they had to put a gown on me. I had to take everything off, you know. Oh, God. The anesthesia, yeah, it could be funny, but at the same time, oh man, I was crying, and then all of a sudden I must have came to, and I was like, "Hi." 2 seconds later, she goes, "Hi, how you feeling?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing okay." Oh, so anyway, the drive home. My youngest was a little nervous at first, and she's driven on the interstate quite a bit thanks to her instructor. He was taking her out on the interstate to drive and stuff, so she got a little more comfortable. And I'm very glad that she did that. She did really well, surprisingly. Um, there were a couple times I was like, "Samantha," I'm like holding on to my car, like, "Samantha." And she did good. She drove the speed limit. She didn't overdo it. She didn't over accelerate it. She used her turn signal. She wore her seatbelt. So we were both kind of hungry afterwards, so we stopped off at the Thruway in Clarence before heading home, and I got something and I didn't really eat it. I wasn't that hungry. I just wanted soup. It was that kind of day, you know. She was starving. So at least she ate and drove home. We drove home. She backs up her dad's car into the driveway if he's home, and it's parked on the street in the evenings. So it's in the driveway so he doesn't get a ticket. Because right now, since it's winter and there's snow, if you leave your car on the street between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m., you can get a ticket. I've done that once, never again. So she did that. She makes sure, and it gives her practice too with maneuverability. So we we let her do that. But I went for my appointment on the 17th of December, and before we'll get into that, I went for an appointment with my family doctor on December 8th. Now, I'm currently on a medication called Zepbound to help me lose the weight. And because I had to be off of it for a week due to the endoscopy, because I was going to be under anesthesia, all my weight came back. And it was a lot of water weight that I had. So um, I like ballooned up to back to 300 pounds again. And that was not fun. So he upped my medication again to a higher dose. And we decided that when I come in for my annual, which is in a couple weeks, that we will go over it again, make sure if I lose some weight. And the goal was for me to be down to at least 282 pounds. Okay. Now, we're going to get to some fun stuff here. Um, December 17th, I went back up to Rochester, met with my liver team, um, kind of went over some things from the endoscopy. And they asked me if I've been experiencing any acid reflux, and I said, yes, I have. And they said, okay, that's probably from the Zepbound, so we're going to give you some omeprazole or something. I probably am pronouncing it wrong. Sorry, it's been a while since I've learned terminology. Um, but basically, they sent a script over to my pharmacy, and I take it every morning before I eat, 30 minutes before I eat. So I have my thyroid medicine that I take first, and that's the first things I have to take when I wake up. So I take my thyroid medicine, wait 30 minutes, then take my omeprazole, and then wait 30 minutes, and then eat. It hasn't been that bad. It's actually, so far, I've been on 2 days of it, and it's actually been helping. So that's pretty good. And da 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 da. I didn't get to talk with the liver transplant coordinator. However, my liver transplant doctor was talking to me, and they gave me a brand new goal weight. So originally, when I was there in 2003, they told me my goal weight was 200 or 171 pounds. So I had to lose over 100 plus pounds in order to be able to be considered for a living donor transplant. And now, drum roll please. Da, 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 da. The new weight that I need to be at, the minimum in order to get a living donor transplant, is 246 pounds. So at the time at the doctor's visit, I was at 299 pounds. Mind you, I'm wearing shoes, I'm wearing my coat, I'm wearing heavy compressions, and I did not feel bloated, but I still look bloated. 50 pounds. I can lose 50 pounds. That's a more doable weight. I stepped on the scale today. Now, scales, they fluctuate every single day. Depends on how much you eat, how much water you are, got sitting in your body too. So, um, I think the gluten free has been helping. I'm at 283 pounds today. 283 pounds. But I'm also not wearing shoes, and that's when I first get up in the morning. So it varies. And they asked me, because I told them I do the gluten free, they said, well, we don't see that you have celiac, so that's good. They said, are you doing okay with eating gluten free? And I'm like, well, I don't feel bloated anymore, if that's what you're wondering. I said, she goes, how are you feeling? I said, I feel pretty good actually. I still feel a little tired, which is to be expected, but other than that, I don't feel bloated. I don't feel, um, like, oh God, I don't want to eat anything. I don't want to eat anything, but I do eat a little bit. So, and she just looked at me like, interesting. She goes, you know what? It sounds like to me that you may have a sensitivity to gluten. So even though I don't have celiac disease, there is a very good chance that I have a sensitivity to gluten, which when I eat it, which is in everything, can bloat me up and make me feel absolutely miserable. And I have noticed that my back hasn't been hurting as bad either, so I know that's too early to tell if it's actually working, but right now it seems to be working, so I'm sticking with it. I got snacks for me that are gluten free, lots of fruits and vegetables. Um, I got myself some gluten free flour, gluten free pancake mix, gluten free oats. Yeah, and pretzels. Pretzels! I can have pretzels as long as they're gluten free. So, yeah, those seem to be working. Now, the endoscope or the echo, the stress echo, and the CT imaging, I had to reschedule those. Wasn't impressed with the person with the echo stuff because I was told over the phone that if they can get me in earlier, that they would try their best. And this person, she didn't care. So she didn't ask to talk to a manager. She knew that I was driving 2 hours away. And I want to get this stuff done and go home. I understand that there are other people that are waiting, and of course they come first. But, if somebody doesn't show up or there's a cancellation, move me in that spot so I can get it done. She wasn't budging. So I was pissed, and then I was starting to have a panic attack. So I called him and told him I had a family emergency, which it kind of was with the panic attacks, because panic attacks, I, I really can't do anything. I had to sit in my car for literally 15 minutes just to calm myself down before I can even drive. And it's been getting worse with my panics. So, and some people will probably be thinking, well, you're just being a big baby. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I'm driving 2 hours and they're saying that they can try to get me bumped up a little bit so that I can get done and, get on going with my next appointment and go home. So I rescheduled both of them and they're on 2 different days, which is fine. I don't care. Go in, get it done, get it over with, and come home. I'm at my point now where I can be nice, but if you're not going to be nice to me, I'm not going to be nice to you. And that's not the type of person I want to be. But that is the person that I have become because I don't feel good. I'm constantly stressed about everything else that's going on. And it sucks. It totally sucks. So, the silver lining with this whole visit is that the the goal weight is actually better, much better, much, much better. And it is more doable. And since I stepped on the scale today, as long as that scale keeps going, you know, down and down, which, I'm expected to go up a little bit, it's fluctuation. So, um, I might be able to make that goal before my visits on January 2nd with my family doctor. So, but I don't have to go back to Rochester with the liver team for 3 months. So, probably late March, early April time frame. I'm still waiting on when they're going to schedule me. It's just, it's a roller coaster ride. It really is. And I also have an appointment with the Roswell Park team. It's the leukemia division. No, I don't have leukemia. It's for my blood work. So, especially with my low platelets and all that. And that has to do with my liver stuff. But they like to keep an eye on things. So, if there's something that needs to be handled right away, then they can do it. So, I'm grateful for that. Plus, they play nice music and they have a spot coffee in there. Shoot, I can't have any of their stuff. Well, I used to be able to, I guess not anymore. I could get like a bottle of water or something. But yeah, I mean, our Christmas shopping is done. I made dinner tonight and I ate almost everything on my plate. I had like those turkey roasts that I cooked in the crock pot. I made some mashed potatoes and we had some steamed California blend vegetables. So, and that kind of filled me up a little bit. I didn't put that much on my plate, and yeah, it's pretty much gone. But yeah, so that's currently what I'm dealing with right now. Is it glamorous? No. Is it something that I have to deal with? Yeah. Can I get to this weight goal before my next two appointments? Or, one with the family doctor and one with the liver team. I think so. I mean, it's doable. It's not like it's like far, far away. I mean, I would still try to shoot for that other goal, but if I could get to the halfway mark, then be like, okay, I got here. Now let's continue with this. I just can't believe how much better I actually feel with doing it. It sucks because there's a lot of places I can't go to get, just go pick up something quick. I would have to plan my meals accordingly at home. Or if I go somewhere, I'm going to have to find items to eat that, I know are gluten free and that I can have without making me feel bloated and disgusting afterwards. And the wait's going to take time. I already know that. It's not something that's going to be drastic. It's just the Zepbound is a tool in my toolbox that I use to help me because my family doctor, he wants to help me as much as possible. If it wasn't for that man, I wouldn't have known I had thyroid cancer. He's a really good doctor and, I'm not very fond of male doctors. Um, Especially what I dealt with in the past from a lot of them gaslighting me. But he's one of the good ones. So, and he's like the only male doctor I have. The rest of the doctors I have are female. And that's just because I get along with them better. And they have more compassion. So, and they don't act like I'm wasting their time. I think there was like one or two that acted like I wasted their time, and I don't go to them anymore. So, but that's been like over 10 years now. So I pretty much have a great medical team that works with me. They know what's going on with me, and they work with my other doctors to make sure that I'm getting what I need versus giving me something that can actually hurt me. And I'm very grateful for that. You know, I'm grateful that I can get up in the mornings. I'm grateful I can still drive. I'm grateful that I can still see my family. Glad I can still eat. Thankful for that. Thankful to having a warm home. I mean, a lot of these things could be taken away in a blink of an eye. And, when it would go so fast and make your head spin. But just being grateful that I have what I need right now is far more than what I would want, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, that's how it's going. I know I didn't do my hair or my makeup. I'm too tired to do that right now. And if you are going through that and you're like, screw it, it's Friday night, I ain't going anywhere, I am not putting on makeup, I'm not dressing up, I'm not doing something fancy with my hair, you go. You go. Yeah. Comfort. That's what it's all about right now. I'm in my 40s, folks. As much as I would like to go out every once in a while, I don't really have any friends up here to hang out with that I could do that with. But it'd be nice if I did. Um, it's, I still prefer to be home. I even got myself snacks for Christmas Eve so that I can watch It's a Wonderful Life. I'm actually looking forward to that. Actually, I'm going to start off with How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, it has to be the cartoon one from I think from the 60s or something, the 60s or 70s. And that's that is like my favorite one. I love the Grinch. Love, 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 love. Um and then It's a Wonderful Life, and I'm going to be in my PJs. My gifts are all wrapped. They're ready to go. My meal is planned. That's ready to go for the next day. Yeah. It'd just be a nice, relaxful evening. This is going to be great. All right. You guys stay warm. You guys stay comfortable. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And episode 3, I won't be airing that until after the holidays. So it's probably going to be January 2nd lands on a Friday. So it's going to be a week after that. So give me some time to recoup, relax, gather more thoughts. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything that you think might make episode 3 better, drop a comment. No negative comments, please. Those will not be tolerated on my page. Okay? All right. You guys have a great night. Bye.